Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fantasy Tip Show. We are back again. Premier League football is back after 2 weeks of annoying football, man. And I have a special guest with me, first time on this show. Egal, how are you, man?
I'm chilling, bro. I'm good, man. How you been? International
I'm good.
break, no Arsenal. I'm just calm, relaxed, no stress.
Yeah, that's true, but the quality of football that's on TV, very, very boring. Right now, I think there's Georgia and Estonia. I think I'd rather watch Arsenal lose 3-0 and feel the emotion than just watching some boring football. But anyway,
I'd
there's no
rather watch
international
soap
break.
operas. I'd
Yeah,
rather
there's no
watch soap
international
operas.
break until March 22nd. So we have like 4 months of straight Premier League football. So before we get into the preview, let me know how has your season been so far? Are you where you expected to be? Are you low? Are you higher than what you expected?
Oh, are you talking about fantasy right now? Because fantasy
Yeah.
wise, I'm flying. I'm doing very well. I'm top of
Mhm.
almost all my leagues. I have my own league. I'm in the football terrorist league. I'm in a bunch of other leagues. And you know what? Right now, I'm ranked out of Arsenal fans. I'm ranked pretty high. In England, I'm ranked in the top 50K. In the
Yeah.
UK, I'm ranked. What do you call in top 50K? In the world, I'm ranked 168K. So when it comes to fantasy wise, I think I'm doing quite well, bro.
So it's higher than you expected.
Yeah. I
Awesome. So who's been your best player this season? Who has been giving you consistent returns?
Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been giving me consistent returns the whole season. In addition to that, um, I've changed a lot of my players from the beginning of the season, but one guy that I've had consistently throughout the whole season was Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Heung-min Son, and I would say those are the main guys that I would have in my team for majority of the weeks. If I look at my
Mhm.
team from week 3 till now,
Mhm.
those are the main two guys that I had in my team most of the weeks: Son, Salah, and and um and Kevin Lewin. So it's those three.
Awesome. You've had Calvert-Lewin since game week 1?
I've had Kevin Lewin since. Let me just check right now. I think it's game week. I bought him in game week 3. I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes when this thing
Awesome.
acts up.
I Yeah, it took too long to bring him in. I think I brought him in like after the first international break, and he's been scoring goal after goal. So game week 9 is coming up. There's been a lot of positive tests. What have you made of that? Do you think the friendly matches should be cancelled because of that?
By the way, I brought him in for Timo Werner in week 3. I got rid of Timo Werner and I brought in Kevin Lewin, and ever since he's
Yeah,
been flying. But yeah, I
yeah,
think international break is very scary for people
yeah,
who run football clubs and organizations because you don't know who's going to get COVID. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how serious the country is going to be taking it or the national team is going to be taking it. Aubameyang, for
yeah,
example, he was in an airport for how long was that? 5, 7, 6 hours. He was stuck in an airport, or was it the whole night? I forget. But
yeah.
those kind of situations don't rest well with me as a fan of a football club. Instead of internationals, where I support France, and you know what, France is always going to be good. You don't have to worry. But Mo Salah getting COVID, Mohamed Al Neni getting COVID, Said Kolasinac getting COVID now, Heung-min Son possibly getting COVID also. There's so many players getting COVID from international breaks. It's almost not even worth going on international breaks. They should just scrap it. But the thing is, they can't because of what happened last summer with how everything went down with COVID last summer. They
Yeah.
need to get through these fixtures in order for the Euros to take place or even the World Cup and everything.
Yeah. Does that change your approach to transfers? If let's say there was another 2 international breaks coming up, would it change your ways to transfer? Like, did you wait to the last Friday to make your transfers?
I'm an aggressive fantasy player. The way I play is I play very aggressive. So when I see, for example, a player get a hat trick and I have room to bring them in, the moment their game finishes, I bring them in so I can get the points so when their value goes up, I get the value increase. And when a player's value is about to go down, I usually transfer them out to save my team from getting the fantasy punishment from that value decreasing. So when it
Yeah.
comes to international breaks, I would treat it the same way. For example, I took Son out of my team before the international breaks, not thinking Salah would get injured or anything. So now I have a situation where I have to think about what am I going to do with Salah, what am I going to do with these guys, and Kevin De Bruyne before he got injured, I had him in my team, There's all sorts of things that I do. But when it comes to transfers, bro, I keep it simple. If I don't need to use an extra negative 4 points, I don't use it. But when it comes to transfers, to me, it's not Friday, it's not Thursday. I do it the Saturday or Monday because it's the easiest time to get a value increase in your players.
Awesome. And do you usually take hits on your team? Because for me, I've played fantasy for 5 years, and I think I've taken hits like 3 times only.
I take a lot of hits. The reason why I take a lot of hits is in order to increase your squad value, sometimes you need to take a hit to get players out of your team that are not performing. For example, Timo Werner, I got him out of my team when he was not performing. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I was one of the first people to get him out of my team because he was not performing, and it worked out for me. Usually you get punished by getting Trent Alexander-Arnold out of your team. Kevin De Bruyne, I got him out of my team. But I don't try to take too many hits. What I try to do is, if I take a hit, I want to see the players that I took out of my team, if they outperformed the hit. So, for example, if I took a striker out of my team and the striker scored, but my striker scored 2 goals, it was worth it because I got the money back for the hit.
Yeah. But what if he goes ahead and blanks, misses a penalty, and gets a yellow card?
Let me tell you, I made the biggest mistake once. I took Danny Ings out of my team for Eddie Nketiah last year.
And Danny Ings, got a red card?
Eddie Nketiah got a red card, and Danny Ings just kept scoring. So to me, not only did I take a hit, but I lost out on goals and assists, and that is the worst case scenario. For example, this year I took out Martinez. I brought in Martinez, and I used my wild card, but I took out McCarthy and Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker-Peters. What happened? McCarthy and Kyle Walker-Peters went nuts and got 3 straight clean sheets, and ever since Martinez has not been doing well. And you know what? I also took out James Justin out of my team, which I regret also, because before he played Arsenal, I took him out of my team. He went on to go get 2 more clean sheets. So defensively, I've been making mistakes this year, but attacking wise, I've been good.
Yeah. What week? Which week was your best this season?
I think there was one week where I got like 70 something points. Let me double check. Week 4, I got 79 points. I had Mo Salah captained, and I had Rodriguez, who got 18 points. There was a couple other weeks I got. Majority of my weeks were less than that, but that week was probably the best week. Week 4 and week 2. Week 2. Listen to this. I had my captain as Aubameyang got 10 points. Son got 24 points. I should have captained him. I had Mitrovic on 12, Ings on 11, Justin and Trent on 7 each, and McCarthy on 0. But I still got 79 points.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. So let's get into the.
What about you? What was your biggest week?
I think it was the last week. I think that was the game week 8. I think I had like maybe 83 or something. And then there was the first time that, obviously, as the season goes by, you can have 100, probably just different. It depends on how consistent you are. So the FPL focus this week is going to be on Liverpool. I'll have a couple of questions for you guys. So Liverpool have picked up some injuries, like nearly every player. So before you even get to the injuries, how many Liverpool players have you owned, or which players have you owned from Liverpool this season, apart from Salah?
I owned Salah and Trent and Gomez. I took Gomez out of my team just before international break, luckily, before he got injured, and I brought in, who did I bring in? I brought in Dunn from Crystal Palace, and I currently still have Salah in my team. His value has gone down by 2, which hurts. So I don't know what I'm going to do with Salah. Am I going to keep him and weather the storm until next week when I can transfer him in without using a hit, or do I transfer him in now? Because if I tell you my midfield, you're going to be impressed. My midfield is Zaha, Grealish, Rodriguez, James Rodriguez, Bruno, and Salah. So I can go without playing Salah, but where am I going? I'm going to have to just put more defenders in.
Wow, you can go without playing Salah. That's interesting. So since they have so many defensive injuries, are you looking to not own any of the defenders in the next few weeks?
I am not touching any of Liverpool's defenders unless one of their kids who's worth less than 0.5, less than 4.45 is increasing in value by a lot. So if in case one of their defenders gets a clean sheet and a goal, I'm not bringing in a Liverpool defender because it's too much unpredictability with that team right now.
Yeah, one of their key defenders has also gotten an injury, Williams. So I'm wondering who's going to play. Probably now, if you have Robo, probably people will switch to him. But I don't think the Liverpool defense will be strong. How about midfield? Have you thought about switching Mane and Salah?
No, if I take Salah out, I'm going to go
Value.
with Kevin De Bruyne because next week he faces West Brom. So that's my plan. My plan before this week was to keep Salah and to switch Kevin De Bruyne to from Bruno to Kevin De Bruyne. But now I'm going to switch. Salah to Kevin De Bruyne. But yeah, this guy in the comments said, "You think Chelsea clean sheets this week?" You know what? Zuma is probably one of the best fantasy defenders this year because he gets you goals.
Yeah.
And he's good football.
Don't worry, we'll come back to the questions and the fixtures. So I wanted to ask you about Jota. Have you considered Jota this season?
Yeah, I have, because Jota is what is he? He's less than 7, right? How much is he again? 6 point something, or is he at 7 now? I forget exactly how much.
If he's had somewhere in between that, if he's had a price increase or something.
I can check right now. What I think about Jota is I
literally
generally
not looked at him.
What?
I've literally not looked at him. That's why.
I would say Jota is probably one of the most on-form players. He currently costs 6.5 if I were to bring him in, and he's owned by 9% of the fantasy people. I think you don't take Salah out and bring in Jota just so you can put Salah back in 2 weeks time. If you're going to bring Jota in, you have to bring him in for like a 6-7 game period. And to me, Zaha is more useful than Jota. Grealish is more useful than Jota. Even guys like Phil Foden might be as useful as Jota, in my opinion. I'm not all in on Jota. Jota's best performances have been in the Champions League. They've not been in the Premier League.
Yeah, true. That's true. But he's very capable of, if he's the main man, like alongside Firmino and Man, he can even get a hat-trick against Leicester, for example. So he could be a good option. And what about Firmino? Have you ever considered Firmino? Have you ever had him in your team?
Firmino? Why? I'm
You've
sorry.
never had him.
If he's a striker, he doesn't score goals. He'll get you assists. But why would you bring in a player who does not get you goals that costs so much money? It's like, why would you have Lacazette in your fantasy team? We Arsenal fans, we know Lacazette is not going to produce week in, week out as much as a Calvin Lewin. Calvin Lewin costs less and he gets you more goals. I would put Calvin Lewin in my team.
You think both of those players are overpriced? Lacazette and
way
Firmino?
Overpriced. I would rather have Shea Adams. I'd rather have Shea Adams. I'd rather have Calvin Lewin. I'd rather even have Ollie Watkins than a Firmino or a Lacazette.
So next season, it's very possible they have a price drop, both of them, Lacazette and Firmino, like to 8 million or something. So yeah, it makes sense because Firmino doesn't score goals. Maybe he's even switched to a midfielder next season. Maybe you never know. And last question, maybe on Liverpool. How many Liverpool players will you be having in the next 4 or 5 weeks? The busy December period, if everyone is fit, apart from Van Dijk.
Only one attacker, either Salah or Mane. If you have a defender from Liverpool, get rid of them. I'm telling you, it is not worth it. Even if the fixtures are good, it is not worth it because this Liverpool team is conceding against everybody. There is no point of having a Liverpool defender. There's no point of having a Liverpool midfielder because they don't produce. Liverpool midfielders don't score goals. And who's going to be on penalties after who's going to be on penalties after Salah's injury? That's the question I have to ask. Because if it's Milner's not worth keeping in the team for your fantasy option.
If it's not Milner, probably it's very hard. Maybe even Firmino or Wijnaldum has been scoring goals for Netherlands, so it's going to be a very hard one. But it will be interesting to see who actually takes those penalties. So that was the focus on Liverpool. Egal says he'll have either Salah or Mane going forward. Probably I'll do the same. I might even take out Salah this week. In fact, I've already taken him out, but I don't want to tell people who have brought him. But it's none of those players you've mentioned in your team, Egal. I have a special play in that position. So let's get into the game week 9 fixtures. Newcastle versus Chelsea, Spurs versus City, Leeds against Arsenal, Everton, Sheffield against West Ham, Everton traveling to Fulham. Which games are you looking forward to most as an FPL manager?
As an FPL manager, the games that I'm looking forward to the most, I have my team right in front of me. I'll tell you. I'm looking at the Brighton Aston Villa game. I'm hoping that the Brighton Aston Villa game, I can get a lot of returns from the Aston Villa players that I have, because I have 3 Aston Villa players in my team. I have Grealish, I have Martinez, and I have Cousin, the defender, center back. So that's one game I'm looking at. I'm looking at that game very tightly, right? Now, another game I'm going to be looking at quite closely to see what happens is Fulham versus Everton, because I have 2 Everton players in my team, and that is James Rodriguez and Calvin Lewin. So those are the 2 games for me as an FPL manager. I have 5 players in those games that are starting in my fantasy team. I need a big win from Everton and a big win from Aston Villa with a clean sheet from both teams, and I'm looking pretty.
Yeah, I'm scared of not owning any player from this team since they're facing West Brom at home. Is it a risk to go without any of the players for that game?
To me, the only player to own from Manchester United right now is Bruno and possibly Rashford. So it's perfect that you put that picture up. I think it's a good thing if you have room to get Salah out of your team for Bruno. I would do it. I wouldn't bring Kevin De Bruyne in this week for Salah if you don't already have Kevin Bruno. I think Bruno is bringing more fantasy production to your team than Kevin De Bruyne or Sterling currently. So Bruno Fernandes to me is the guy I would own, and I do own, and he's my captain for this week.
Yeah. I also own Zaha, so do you think he'll perform away to Burnley, or is it like a 0-0 written all over it?
I hope he does, because if you look at what he did against Leeds, he could have had 2 goals in that game, and he came out of that game with just 1 assist, right? So I'm hoping he can continue with his beautiful run of form. He had an amazing return against Fulham, and facing who he's facing, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Burnley, Newcastle, and West Brom the next 3 games. He's a perfect candidate to bring in if you have that money to bring him in at 7.4 right now.
Yeah, true. So Villa, have you considered adding any of the assets? Because that Brighton game is looking very good. I was even considering getting Watkins in straight away.
I have 3. I have a center back. I have Grealish, that man right there in the picture, and I have Martinez. So I'm hoping more for a Grealish goal and a clean sheet than I am for an Ollie Watkins or Ross Barkley. I would rather Grealish just scores and if they win 1-0, I'm happy with that.
Who's the defender that you own? Mings?
No, Cousin.
Okay, that's a good pick. So those are the 3 games you're looking forward to. Which game are you not looking forward to at all? Which game are you not interested as an FPL manager?
As an FPL manager, I am not interested in. I'm currently not interested in the game Man City versus Spurs. I really don't have too much interest in that game. I have Kane in my team, but just by default, I was trying to get him out of my team, but I couldn't spend that much money to bring out Son and Kane. So I think that game is going to be very boring, and it could be a Man City 1-0 to Man City or something like that. I don't see both teams scoring, so I would stay away from Man City and Spurs ownership this week. Also, Arsenal Leeds. I have no interest in Arsenal Leeds as a fantasy owner. I don't want anything to do with the Leeds team facing Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I hope that we can go and beat them. And the fact is, I have a Leeds goalkeeper on my bench, so I will not be playing him against Arsenal. Last week, I played Martinez over. I put Martinez on the bench for the Leeds goalkeeper, and it backfired on me.
Yeah, it has twice. Last week, I put Target on my bench and he got 11 points. And the previous week, I put Justin on my bench thinking they'll concede against Arsenal. Both teams kept clean sheets at the Emirates. So let's put up your team for the next game week. I hope that's it. So tell us your transfers for this week. Any people you're considering to captain, and just that.
Okay, so as you can see, my team right there is very well balanced. I would say my defense and my attack is quite balanced. But the week before, the players that I had Gomez last week, and I had Son. So what I did was I already took a -4 hit to take Son out of my team for Bruno, and I took Gomez out and I brought in Dunn that's on my bench right there. So I think I'm most likely going to be going into this week looking very similar to what it is right now. I'm not going to change much. I'm going to keep it the way it is. And if I do anything, it will be after the first game on Friday. I will be taking Salah out and I'll be bringing in somebody else like a Kevin De Bruyne because he faces West Brom the following week. So that is my transfer plans right now. I'm looking to captain Bruno and vice captain Grealish. Right. I don't think Kevin Lewin is a bad shout also for captain. I might switch my vice captain to Kevin Lewin, but at the same time, I'm happy with my team. I'm happy with my defenders. And let me just highlight one guy, Creswell. Wow.
I wanted to talk about him. I was about to say I'm so jealous of you owning Cresswell and Zuma, both of them.
Oh man, I only own Creswell for 1 week, and I own Zuma for 2 weeks. Yeah. What I did was once Luca Digne got the red card, I brought in Zuma.
Yeah, those are two very good defenders, and also Cons at home guaranteed to play. Kilman, maybe I don't know. I think Southampton will score, but this looks like a very, very good defense. My defense has done. I have done like you. I don't have any Chelsea defenders. I don't have any United players, so I'm very worried. Even though I've survived till today, I actually brought in Bellerin last week. I don't know whether he's going to perform against Leeds, but I'm really hoping so. And who's your differential in that team? Like those 11 players, who do you think can actually boost your ranking?
I think my whole defense is differentials when you really think about it. My whole defense. Not a lot of people go with the defense of Creswell, Konsa, Killemans, and Zuma. My defense is really all my attacking players and my midfielders are not really differential players, but my defense, they're not highly owned players when you really think about it. Look at you got 8% ownage for Creswell, Konsen, which is 6% owned, Killerman, which is 14%, so he's not really a differential. And then Zaha, he's highly owned. All the rest of my players are highly owned. The players who are differentials are Creswell and Konsa. Those are my two differentials.
Yeah, so looking at that team, how many points are you expecting this week? At least?
Minimum 58, 60 points every week, hopefully. Because if you get 50, 60 points every week, you don't go down in the ranks. Anything less than 50 points is an embarrassment.
Yeah, I think that is above the average. That would be above the average. And let's get into the captain picks. Apart from your team, any other captains, if anyone has any other players you'd consider this week?
Calvin Lewin, Bruno.
I would how about the ones you don't own at all?
I would say Timo Werner is an option. Timo Werner is an option. I think he's a good option. No, I would not go Ziyech yet, because even though he's been playing well, besides his first game, he didn't really produce that much fantasy output.
Yeah.
Right.
How about this guy at home to Southampton, Jimenez?
I think you don't want to root against Southampton's defense right now. Southampton's defense has been really good. If I would bet on anybody scoring in that game, I would bet on Jimenez scoring for them. But of course, I don't think that is a good shout. You know what I think is a crazy shout? You should be going for the players like Newcastle versus Chelsea. I think that's a good game for some goals. Also, West Ham have Sheffield United. That should be a game where you can get some fantasy points from that. We've already spoken about Aston Villa. We've already spoken about Manchester United versus West Brom. We've already spoken about Everton versus Fulham. Kevin Lewin once again. James Rodriguez. Right. Now, the final Monday games, I'm looking at Burnley versus Crystal Palace, Wilfried Zaha, and those guys. I think Zaha is a good captain also. But for me, the main captains for me would be either Aston Villa, Everton, or Manchester United players, or Chelsea. Those are the 4 teams that I would captain players from. So Timo Werner, Kevin Lewin, Grealish, and Bruno. Those are my 4 captains.
Yeah, I would love to get someone like Saka and captain him, and then he scores 2 goals for the first time in the Premier League. That would be an absolute differential. I'm not sure that many people would captain someone like that, so that would be amazing. Now, last 2 questions I wanted to ask about Tottenham. If like people had Kane and Son and Reguilon for the last 2 weeks, but their next 5 fixtures are very hard, are you considering taking out Kane for this run of fixtures?
I've already gotten rid of Son. I've took Son out of my team. I can't have any more Spurs players in my team. I'm getting rid of all my Spurs assets as soon as possible. Their next run of games is Man City, Chelsea. What is it? Oh my God,
Awesome.
these guys got a bad run of games, and I don't want anything to do with them anymore. Spurs,
Yeah.
Harry Kane, all of them, they might score goals, but I don't want them in my team. I'm going to be moving Harry Kane for a Jamie Vardy soon,
Yeah.
and I've already moved Son to Bruno.
Yeah. Let's take the question from the chat and the two questions from Twitter. Chavali asks, Chelsea assured of a clean sheet.
I think Chelsea versus what is it? Who they facing again? West Brom, right? No,
Newcastle away.
Newcastle. I don't know if it's a clean sheet necessarily, but I like Chelsea's defenders' outputs in opportunities in goal scoring opportunities because Chelsea's defenders have scored more goals than Arsenal's front three.
Yeah. Another question from. So, do you think they'll keep a clean sheet 100%?
I don't think they keep a clean sheet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Chilwell got an assist and Zuma scored a goal.
Yeah, but I'm actually going to agree. They don't think they'll keep a clean sheet. I'm waiting to see whether Wilson is going to be available. Someone asks, best replacement for Harry Kane already on Van.
If you already own Vardy, what I would say is go for a Calvin Lewin.
They're already on Van.
They already own Vardy, right?
Van from Chelsea.
Okay. What I would go is I would go with a Calvin Lewin, or I would go with Calvin Lewin in for him, or a Shea Adams, because I
Yeah,
think Shea Adams has an opportunity now to score a lot of goals.
yeah, that's very true. So, Vardy, how about Vardy in the next 3 games after the Liverpool game? I actually think he'll score in the Liverpool game anyway. Do you think he'll score in the Liverpool game?
I honestly think Jamie Vardy, if they get a penalty, you know he's going to score. But
Yeah.
I don't see Liverpool keeping a clean sheet. I definitely can see him scoring a goal in that game.
Yeah, I can actually see Leicester going and winning that game, especially the Liverpool's defensive problems. Leicester are very, very good. Another question: is it time to bring back Aubameyang or avoid Arsenal players?
No, avoid Arsenal players until they get on a run of games. Do not bring in an Arsenal attacker until you've seen a hat trick or 2 goals from Aubameyang. There is no point of playing Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, Willian, Saka, Partey, Ceballos. Don't play any of them. Save yourself. As an Arsenal fan, we can root for the team and back them. But as fantasy owners, I will not be having an Arsenal player in my team this season until I see at least a good run of games of form.
Yeah. Someone asks, less than 6 million to spend. Should I get Lookman from Fulham or Sushek from West Ham?
Lookman from Fulham or Schumann from West Ham. You gotta go West Ham. You gotta go West Ham. You gotta go Schumann, because Fulham are not going to get enough goal opportunities. Where Schulek showed last year at the end of the season that he can get us in. He can get involved in and about the goals, and he would be a good shout.
Yeah. Thank you, Shavali, for coming in the comments. Why not sentiment? And Nathaniel, obviously, thank you very much. And then my last 2 questions for you: which game will have the most goals this weekend?
Which game will have the most goals?
Yeah.
I would have to go with. Can I pick 2 games or just one?
Yeah, go ahead.
If I had to pick a game that had the most goals in it, it would have to be the Liverpool game. I can see them going 3-2, like 5-goal thriller. And the other game that I would go with is Wolves Southampton. I can see Wolves Southampton being a high scoring game too.
Wow, I'm saying like a 1-0 in that game, but okay. And which team will definitely keep a clean sheet this weekend?
Definite clean sheet this week. Definite clean sheet for me has to go to Aston Villa. Come on, my guys. Aston Villa getting me that clean sheet. I need you guys to get me that clean sheet.
Very, very possible. And 3 players that will definitely score.
Bruno will score. Calvin Lewin will score. and Wilfred Zaha will score.
Wow, that would be awesome. I think I own all of them, so that would be very, very good. Liverpool have injury. Nico Williams just got injured, so as Egal said, avoid the Liverpool defense at all. So we'll review this game week after the games. I'll check how many Egal got correct, and I'll actually have a table on of the previous guests and to see who's actually getting more correct points and stuff. So thank you very much for coming on.
No problem, my friend. No problem.
If you're watching right now, make sure you leave a like. If you're watching the replay before Saturday, make sure you drop a like. Even after Saturday, make sure you drop a like. I'll really appreciate it. And yeah, football is back. Very, very happy about that. Now it's going to be a stretch of games until like March, so no interruptions at all. In fact, no interruptions of any other competitions apart from the European ones until January when the FA Cup starts. So interesting times. Thank you for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.